And you saw him tripped when he was walking down the thing. He had a hard time walking up the stairs. He had a knee brace.
Dana White has fired back at Jake Paul following Mike Tyson's recent health scare after his fight with Jake.
And Jake Paul couldn't do anything to him. He made a ton of money. And I know people are mad. You stayed home on Saturday night, but you didn't pay for it. You know what I mean? And, you know, this is what Mike Tyson, when Mike Tyson shows up, everybody makes money. You know, Jake Paul was.
Sure.
You know, I don't have to tell you guys. You guys know. Mike Tyson is the A++++ side of that thing. And he was right.
Dana White didn't hold back when he saw Jake Paul struggle to knock out Mike Tyson. Jake had been hyping himself up as the next big name in combat sports, but the reality of Tyson's age, health problems, and experience showed. Despite all that, Jake failed to do what many expected him to do: knock Tyson out. Dana's comments on Jake's performance set the stage for a fiery discussion about the fight, the people involved, and how the world reacted.
This is one of those situations when you lost, but still won. I'm grateful for last night. No regrets to get in ring one last time. I almost died in June. Had 8 blood transfusions, lost half my blood and 25 pounds in hospital, and had to fight to get healthy to fight, so I won.
Despite all the hype, Jake Paul couldn't knock Tyson down. On top of Tyson's age, he was dealing with serious health issues like blood clots and a knee injury. He was also carrying the weight of 30 years of experience, while Jake was in his prime.
Outboxed the boxer. Jake Paul outboxed Mike Tyson like he said he was going to do. Did you not? Like every single round.
No, and yeah, like what do people say? Like I told everyone what I was going to do is to give him a...
Dana White, never one to hold back, quickly took a shot at Jake Paul after his underwhelming performance against Mike Tyson. Jake had talked a big game about becoming the next star in combat sports, but he couldn't even manage to knock out a 60-year-old Tyson, who was clearly past his prime. And it wasn't just about Tyson's age. He was dealing with serious health issues leading up to the fight, including blood clots and needing a knee brace. To make matters worse, Tyson even tripped as he entered the ring, making it even harder for Jake to make an impact.
I mean, if he wants to do boxing, why not fight guys that actually box for a living?
100%. Fight guys that box for a living and guys that are your age. How about that?
He says he wants to fight Canelo. I'm just saying what
I hear you. Then why is he not fighting Canelo?
Canelo, I don't think Canelo wants to waste his time.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a fucking 30-second payday for Canelo. So I don't know why Canelo wouldn't.
But despite all the physical challenges Tyson faced, Jake Paul still couldn't get the job done. Dana White didn't hold back, mocking Jake for his failure to knock out an older, injured fighter. White couldn't understand how Jake couldn't land a single knockout punch on a man who was essentially limping into the fight. For Dana, it was a clear sign that Jake Paul's skills were nowhere near the level he'd been claiming.
He said, I told him, I'm basically 60 years old, and he's like, you honestly think this fucking kid's gonna do anything to me? He's not good. He's not gonna
Dana White wasn't just mocking Jake Paul after the Mike Tyson fight, he was highlighting a major flaw in Jake's boxing career. Despite all the talk about Jake being the future of boxing, he couldn't even manage to knock out a 60-year-old Tyson. White's criticism pointed to the fact that Jake had built his entire persona around being a dangerous fighter, only to fall short against someone who was already physically and mentally worn down before the fight even started. Dana was also vocal about Jake's choice of opponent, arguing that it wasn't fair to pick someone as old and physically compromised as Tyson. In White's eyes, it was a cowardly move, using Tyson's age to make Jake look better. From the start, he saw it as a clear mismatch.
I'm mad when I do this, but Mike's 60, man. I don't know. What do you guys think about it? Who gives a shit what I think? It's not my fight. I love Mike Tyson, you know, personally as a friend, and he's one of my favorite.
But things took a surprising turn when Dana White revealed a conversation he had with Mike Tyson before the fight. According to Dana, Tyson told him straight out that Jake Paul wouldn't be able to knock him out. Tyson's words were a warning, and sure enough, he was right. Jake couldn't even put Tyson down. This conversation added weight to Dana's mocking comments, showing that it wasn't just about Jake failing to knock out Tyson, it was that Tyson had predicted this outcome long before the fight. It almost felt like Jake's performance was set to fail from the start, and Tyson saw it coming. Jake Paul had been boasting about becoming a dominant force in combat sports, but here was Tyson, a man who hadn't fought seriously in years, saying Jake wasn't even capable of knocking him out. After this exchange, Dana White's criticism seemed even more justified, painting Jake as all talk and no action.
I'm sorry I didn't knock him out, though,
Bro,
guys.
shut the fuck up.
I'm
It was
really
crazy when
sorry.
we talked about this. I told him you were
sorry.
going to say some dumb shit. You did the right thing at the end. You bowed. You kept it classy. You was wobbled. You did your thing. You didn't get greedy.
Yeah, after I seen him a little bit tired, I didn't want to put too much hurt on him, but I wanted the fans to get a good experience. But there was a point where all of my aggression and like super violence and like I'm gonna knock this guy out and show him, it went away when I wasn't getting hit much at all. And I don't know, I just
punches wasn't doing it.
Mike Tyson didn't just show up to the fight. He was battling serious health issues in the lead-up. Tyson revealed that in the weeks before the fight, he had been struggling with blood clots, which nearly cost him his life. Despite this, he pushed through and continued his training, eventually stepping into the ring with Jake Paul. Tyson's resilience was nothing short of impressive. He wasn't just fighting Jake, he was fighting his own health challenges. To think that Jake Paul in his prime couldn't take down a 60-year-old man still recovering from serious health issues speaks volumes about his skill level. Tyson's perseverance wasn't just about finishing the fight, it was about showing up in the first place. His determination to overcome his physical struggles made the fight even more meaningful. Yet, Jake Paul couldn't capitalize on this opportunity. He failed to knock out an older fighter who had already faced so much adversity. In the end, Tyson's ability to step into the ring and stand tall was a victory in itself, while Jake's failure to end the fight quickly became a symbol of his shortcomings.
Is Jake Paul fighting next? Here, Dukatron. The next person Jake Paul is going to be fighting is going to be Muhammad Ali. Junior! I was watching that fight and I was just sitting down thinking, how the heck did people let this happen? Why did it get this far? I low-key felt sad. If bro does not fight Muhammad Ali Junior squared, bro is gonna go to the next retirement home and he's gonna just throw hands with anybody, bro, at this point. Even the commentators were thinking, bro, why doesn't bro fight somebody his own?
Dana White's concerns about Mike Tyson's health went beyond just Tyson being an aging fighter. White had been a close friend and ally of Tyson for years, and he knew just how much Tyson's health had deteriorated before the fight. Tyson wasn't just facing a younger opponent in Jake Paul, he was battling his own body, dealing with blood clots that had nearly cost him his life in the weeks leading up to the match. For Dana, this wasn't just another fight, it was a dangerous situation. While he had always respected Tyson for his career achievements, seeing the legendary fighter struggle with serious health issues made him worry about what could happen if things didn't go as planned. White openly expressed his concerns about Tyson being in the ring while dealing with these serious conditions. There was no questioning Tyson's legacy, but at 60, could he handle the physical demands of another fight, especially against someone much younger and physically capable like Jake Paul?
But he's doing it. You know, what do I think of the Mike Tyson fight?
Yes.
Tyson's 58 years old. You know what I mean? Jake fought a guy who was his age and who was also considered a boxer, and he lost. So if you can keep fighting fucking 50-something-year-olds...
You don't think Tyson has a chance?
And making a living at it. I think that Mike Tyson has a puncher's chance against anybody. Mike's 58 years old. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right.
I hate doing this because Mike gets mad at me every time I do this, but Mike shouldn't be fighting.
When the fight finally took place, Tyson proved Dana's fears wrong. He made it through the match without any serious injuries, and for many, that was considered a victory in itself. Against all odds, Tyson pushed through and survived, showing incredible resilience. But the real loser wasn't Mike Tyson, who had faced numerous challenges leading up to the fight and still managed to stand strong. The real loser was Jake Paul. Despite all his talk about being the next big thing in boxing, Jake couldn't do what everyone expected: knock out Tyson. Tyson, who was dealing with blood clots, 30 years on Jake, and a knee brace to manage his injury, still couldn't be finished off by Jake. This failure exposed the gap between Jake Paul's public persona and his actual boxing ability. For Dana White, it was a clear demonstration of Jake's shortcomings. Jake had boasted about his knockout power, his training, and how he was the future of boxing, but when it came time to deliver, he couldn't finish an aging, compromised fighter like Tyson.
Mike's power at all?
No.
He hit you with one, and you gave him the tongue.
Only because the crowd, got turned up, but it didn't actually hurt. But, I mean... no one's punches have really hurt. I got buzzed a little bit against Tommy Fury.
After the fight, Jake Paul, still trying to stay relevant, called out Conor McGregor. During the post-fight press conference, he made it clear that he wanted to fight McGregor next, even suggesting he'd take him on in the UFC's cage. Many saw this as a way for Jake to stay in the spotlight after his disappointing performance against Tyson. As expected, Conor McGregor wasn't impressed by Jake's bold claims. McGregor mocked Jake's performance against Tyson, questioning how Jake could fail to knock out a 60-year-old man with serious health issues and still think he could take on someone like McGregor.
What about you and Conor McGregor? Are you interested in that?
Yeah, he'll never do that though. He knows. He knows way.
One, he's under contract, and
he's
two,
not his own boss.
And two, he won't do it. He knows better. He might.
And it's funny to say like, yo, Conor McGregor is scared of Jake Paul and will never box him, but it's the fucking truth. And look at him go toe to toe with Nate Diaz, who was easy work for me. It was like a Monday sparring session to beat Nate Diaz's ass.
Conor McGregor's mocking comments about Jake Paul weren't just about the fight. They were about Jake's place in the world of combat sports. McGregor has fought the best in the world and is a 2-division UFC champion, while Jake Paul, in his eyes, was nothing more than a sideshow. By calling out McGregor after such a disappointing fight, Jake was trying to shift the focus away from his own failure and onto a bigger, more famous target. But McGregor wasn't fooled. He knew exactly what Jake was trying to do. In many ways, McGregor's mocking was a wake-up call for Jake. The world wasn't going to let him get away with pretending to be something he wasn't. McGregor wasn't just calling out Jake for fun. He was showing everyone how far Jake still had to go if he truly wanted to be taken seriously in combat sports. It wasn't just Dana White and Conor McGregor who turned on Jake Paul. The public quickly voiced their disappointment too. Jake had hyped up the fight for months, promising an exciting matchup against a boxing legend. He talked about knocking out Tyson and even claimed he was the future of boxing. But when the fight actually happened, Jake couldn't deliver. While he technically won the match, it wasn't a victory in the eyes of the public. People didn't see Jake as the victor. They saw him as someone who couldn't finish what he started. The fact that Jake couldn't knock out a 60-year-old man dealing with serious health issues made his performance seem weak. Fans had expected a spectacular knockout, but instead, they saw a fighter who couldn't put away a man already weighed down by health problems. In the eyes of the public, Jake didn't just lose the fight. He lost his credibility. The narrative that Jake Paul was a force to be reckoned with in boxing was shattered. He'd spent so much time building his persona as a skilled fighter, only to fail when it mattered most. Fans who had once supported Jake's rise in the sport began to turn on him, feeling let down by his lackluster performance. His failure to deliver against Tyson raised doubts about his sincerity in the ring, and those doubts only grew over time. As the weeks passed, both fans and critics started to see through Jake's bravado and hype, realizing that he wasn't the boxing prodigy he had claimed to be.
Jackass. Of the weirdest atmospheres of any boxing fight I'd ever watched. I felt so weird watching that. Something just didn't sit right. A 27-year-old bloke going against a 58-year-old man. Not only any 58-year-old man, but like one of the best boxers of all time. I couldn't help but feel bad for Mike Tyson. I felt like he was boxed into a corner, and I don't mean literally by Jake Paul boxing him into a corner, although there were some points where that was happening. But I felt like everything around the fight and the promotion and the lead up and the story and the people in the suits behind the scenes, I felt like I was watching a caged animal. By no means somebody that knows everything about boxing, and I don't claim to. I have had one boxing fight that I raised money for charity for, and I did win, so I am 1-0, so come on, I know something. No, I'm just kidding. But I know a little bit about boxing. Watching his training leading up to the fight, to the performance, it just felt so inconsistent, and I felt so bad for him, like he was boxed into a corner, because you can see that beast in his eye, that all he wants to do if he steps foot into a ring is